Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today is Tuesday, May 15th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's Western Conference Finals Game 1 between the Warriors and the Rockets and preview and predict tonight's Game 2 between the Celtics and the Cavs from TD Garden. Go over last night's Stanley Cup Western Conference Finals Game 2 and look ahead to tonight's Game 3 between the Capitals and the Lightning from DC. Look back on yesterday's baseball action, look ahead to today's action. I'm going to go through, in wake of the lottery being tonight, players on every team that are pretty much in a make-or-break situation with their teams, whether they're going to be around for the long term with their respective teams or not. And last but not least, I will predict the order of the draft lottery. All right, here we go. The Warriors defeated the Rockets 119-106 to take a 1-0 series lead. This was a fun game. The Warriors just pulled away late. Kevin Durant was awesome, 37 points in the win. James Harden put up 41 points and 7 assists in defeat. Tonight you have the Cavaliers at the Celtics, 8:30, ESPN. Will Boston take a 2-0 series lead, or will the Cavaliers bounce back and even up at 1 apiece? Hard call, but I just don't see the Cavaliers going down 0-2. I think this is going to be a very close game. I won't be shocked if LeBron hits a buzzer beater. So let's go with 112-109 Cavaliers final, and it'll be a 1-1 series, and everybody's going to be poo-pooing the Cavaliers again. Stanley Cup playoffs last night. A very impressive win for the Vegas Golden Knights. 3-1 over the Jets to tie up the series at 1 apiece. First period, Thomas Tatar's first of the playoffs, assisted by Shea Theodore and Ryan Carpenter. 1-0 Knights. Jonathan Marchessault's fifth of the playoffs, assisted by Riley Smith. 2-0 Knights. No scoring in the second period. The third period, the Jets get on the board. Kyle Connor's third of the playoffs on the power play, assisted by Nikolaj Ehlers and Tyler Myers, makes it a 2-1 game. The Knights answer back immediately. Jonathan Marchessault's sixth of the playoffs, assisted by Riley Smith and William Karlsson. 3-1 Knights was your final. A great bounce-back effort by Marc-Andre Fleury. 30 saves on 31 shots. Connor Hellebuck, 25 saves on 28 shots. Tonight you have the Lightning at the Capitals, 8 o'clock NBCSN. Will the Capitals take a commanding 3-0 series lead, or will the Lightning get on the board in the series? I think going on the road will help Tampa Bay. They've played great on the road in these playoffs. They won 2 games in Boston, and they won a game in New Jersey. And I think that they will defeat the Capitals, let's say 4-2, with the last goal being an empty netter, to get on the board in the series. I don't feel great about it, but I'm putting my faith in John Cooper's team to at least get on the board in the series. Baseball, last night, not many games. The Braves defeated the Cubs 6-5 as they improved to 25-15. The Cubs dropped to 21-17. Julio Teheran with the win, Jose Quintana with the loss, AJ Minter with the save. Top of the first, leadoff home run, Ozzie Albies won out the Braves. Bottom of the second, a 2-run home run by Albert Almora Jr., 2-1 Cubs. Top of the third, a 2-run home run by Tyler Flowers, 3-2 Braves. Bottom of the third, home run Chris Bryant, a 2-run shot, 4-3 Cubs. Top of the fifth, a 3-run home run by Jose Bautista, 6-4 Braves. Bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, hit by pitch, Ian Happ made it 6-5. That was your final. Julio Teheran, 6 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout, leaves the game with a 3.49 ERA. He's been very good this season. Jose Quintana, on the other hand, has not been good this season. 4 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts, leaves the game with a 5.23 ERA. The Rays defeated the Royals 2-1 as they improved to 17-22. The Royals dropped to 13-28. I had the Royals on the podcast yesterday because it was an ESPN game. I was wrong. Ryan Yarbrough with the win, Eric Skoglund with the loss, Alex Colon with the save. Top of the first, RBI single, Matt Duffy went off the race. Bottom of the third, home run, Whit Merrifield made it a tie game at 1 apiece. Top of the sixth, RBI single, Matt Duffy. 2-1 Rays was your final. Ryan Yarbrough pitched pretty well. 5 innings, 5 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.93 ERA. Eric Skoglund was good too. 7 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 5.58 ERA. The Athletics defeated the Red Sox 6-5 as they improved to 20-21. The Red Sox dropped to 28-13. Sean Manaea with the win. Rick Porcello with the loss. Blake Treinen with the save. Top of the third, home run, Matt Joyce, 1-0 ace. Bottom of the third, infield single, Andrew Benintendi tied it up at 1 apiece. RBI single, Hanley Ramirez, 2-1 Red Sox. Top of the fourth, 2-run double by Jonathan Lucroy, 3-2 A's. RBI triple by Dustin Fowler, 4-2 A's. Bottom of the fifth, fielder's choice, Hanley Ramirez, 4-3 A's. Top of the sixth, a home run by Ryan Olson, 5-3 A's. Bottom of the seventh, home run, Rafael Devers, 5-4 A's. Top of the eighth, home run, Chris Davis, 6-4 A's. Bottom of the eighth, home run, J.D. Martinez, 6-5 A's. That was your final. Sean Manaea was good. 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 2.35 ERA. Rick Porcello, 6 innings, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.28 ERA. The Tigers defeated the Indians 6-3 as they improved to 18-22. The Indians dropped to 20-20. Mike Fiers with the win. Carlos Carrasco with the loss. Top of the first, home run, Jose Ramirez, 1-0 Indians. Bottom of the third, RBI ground out, Pete Cosma ties it up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the fourth, a 2-run home run by Nick Goodrum, 3-1 Tigers. Top of the eighth, RBI double, Edwin Encarnacion, 3-2 Tigers. Bottom of the eighth, a 3-run home run by Nick Goodrum, 6-2 Tigers. Top of the ninth, RBI single, Francisco Lindor, 6-3 Tigers was your final. Mike Fiers pitched pretty well, 6 innings, 3 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 4.23 ERA. Carlos Carrasco, 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.66 ERA. The Mariners defeated the Twins 1-0 as they improved to 23-17. The Twins dropped to 17-20. James Pazos with the win. Trevor Hildenberger with the loss. Edwin Diaz with the save. The lone run came in the top of the 8th inning. Gene Segura with the sacrifice as D. Gordon scored on the error by Logan Morrison to give the Mariners a 1-0 lead for good. Wade LeBlanc was pretty good. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 2.51 ERA. Jake Odorizzi was good as well. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.35 ERA. The Brewers defeated the Diamondbacks 7-2 as they improved to 25-17. The Diamondbacks dropped to 24-17. Junior Guerrero with the win. Patrick Corbin with the loss. Top of the second, 2-run double, Orlando Arcia, 2-0 Brewers. Bottom of the fourth, RBI double, Steven Souza Jr., 2-1 Brewers. Sacrifice fly, Nick Ahmed ties it up at 2 apiece. Top of the seventh, RBI single, Christian Yelich, 3-2 Brewers. Sacrifice fly, Danny Santana, 4-2 Brewers. Top of the ninth, home run, Jonathan Villar, 5-2 Brewers. And a 2-run inside the park home run for Tyler Saladino, 7-2 Brewers was your final. And on the inside the park home run, A.J. Pollock was injured trying to dive for the ball. And the Diamondbacks lose their 6th straight. We'll see what happens with Pollock regarding that injury. You'd better hope it's nothing too serious. And if he's out for a significant amount of time, the Diamondbacks are going to fall apart. And they will no longer be in first place in that division as the Colorado Rockies may start to play better. And who knows, maybe the Dodgers turn things around. Maybe San Francisco starts to play a little better. We'll see. Junior Guerrero, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.08 ERA. Patrick Corbin, 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 2.53 ERA. The Angels defeated the Astros 2-1 to take over first place in the American League West. They are now 25-16. Houston drops to 26-17. Andrew Heaney with the win. Lance McCullers Jr. in the loss. Justin Anderson with the save. Bottom of the second, RBI single, Luis Valbuena. 1-0 Angels. Top of the third, RBI single, Max Stassi ties it up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the sixth, RBI single, Justin Upton. 2-1 Angels is your final. Andrew Heaney was really good. 8 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, a walk, and 10 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.93 ERA. Lance McCullers Jr., 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.63 ERA. The Rockies defeat the Padres 6-4 as they improve to 23-19. San Diego drops to 16-27. Tyler Anderson with the win. Kazuhisa Makita with the loss, and Wade Davis with the save. Top of the third, RBI single, Nolan Arenado, 1-0 Rockies. Bottom of the third, bunt single, Miguel Margot ties it up at 1 apiece. Bottom of the fourth, an error by Trevor Story as Franmil Reyes safe at first as Frankie Cordero scores. 2-1 Padres. Top of the fifth, home run, Daniel Castro ties it up at 2 apiece. Home run, Noel Cuevas gives the Rockies a 3-2 lead. Bottom of the fifth, RBI double, Eric Hosmer, 3-3. Top of the sixth, a 3-run home run by Gerardo Parra, 6-3 Rocks. Bottom of the sixth, RBI single, A.J. Ellis, 6-4 Rockies, your final. Tyler Anderson, 5 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 4.3 ERA. Joey Lucchesi, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 3.23 ERA. The Giants defeat the Reds 10-7 as they improve to 21-21. Cincinnati drops to 14-28 after winning 6 straight games. Chris Stratton with the win. Sal Romano with the loss. Bottom of the first, RBI single, Evan Longoria, 1-0 Giants. 2-run double, Brandon Crawford, 3-0 Giants. Top of the second, RBI single, Tucker Barnhart, 3-1 Giants. Bottom of the second, RBI double, Andrew McCutchen, 4-1 Giants. Bottom of the third, a 2-run single by Kelby Tomlinson, 6-1 Giants. Top of the fourth, a 2-run home run by Tucker Barnhart made it a 6-3 game. Top of the sixth, home run Scott Schleber made it a 6-4 game. Bottom of the sixth, RBI double Buster Posey, 7-4 Giants. A 2-run double by Brandon Belt, 9-4 Giants. Bottom of the eighth, a home run by Brandon Belt, 10-4 Giants. Top of the ninth, a 3-run home run by Adam Duvall, 10-7 Giants was your final. Chris Stratton, 5 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. Leaves the game with a 4.88 ERA. Sal Romano, not good. 2 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Leaves the game with a 4.84 ERA. Today's games, you have a 3:40 Eastern Time game. Rockies at the Padres. German Marquez and Jordan Lyles. The most anticipated 2-game series of the week, Yankees-Nationals. Masahiro Tanaka and Gio Gonzalez. Phillies-Orioles. Nick Pivetta and Andrew Kashner. White Sox-Pirates, Reynaldo Lopez and Trevor Williams. Athletics-Red Sox, Daniel Mengden and Eduardo Rodriguez. Indians-Tigers, Josh Tomlin and Francisco Liriano. Blue Jays-Mets, Jaime Garcia and Noah Syndergaard. Fun fact about this game, Syndergaard, don't forget, was drafted by the Blue Jays originally, and Syndergaard was shipped off to the Mets in the winter of 2012 in the R.A. Dickey trade that sent Dickey from the Mets to the Blue Jays, and Syndergaard and Travis d'Arnaud were 2 key pieces that went back to the Mets, and that trade is going to go down as a huge win for the Mets solely because of Syndergaard, assuming he stays healthy for the rest of his career. So that's a fun little fact about that game. Dodgers, Marlins, Alex Wood and Wei-Yin Chen. Cubs, Braves, Yu Darvish and Mike Falta-Units. Cardinals, Twins, FS1 tonight. Jack Flaherty and Jose Barrios. I'm going to pick the Twins here. They have the pitching advantage. Barrios hasn't been good lately, but I think at home he'll pitch well tonight against St. Louis. So give me 5-3 Twins final as Barrios gets back on track. Rays Royals. Anthony Banda and Ian Kennedy. Brewers Diamondbacks. Julius Chassin and Zach Greinke. Astros Angels. Garrett Cole and Jaime Barria. Rangers Mariners. Mike Minor and Mike Leake. Expect a lot of runs in that game. Reds Giants. See if the Reds can bounce back a little bit. Tyler Mahle and Ty Block. All right, that's it for baseball today. Now I'm going to go through some NBA players that I think are in a little bit of a make or break situation with their teams. A couple teams have 2 players, and others have 1. First, the Atlanta Hawks, DeAndre Bembry. Bembry is somebody that was a first-round pick a few years ago. He was bouncing around from the G League to the Hawks, back and forth, and he came out of St. Joseph's, which isn't that blue blood school, and Bembry really hasn't panned out. I'm interested to see what they do with him long term now that Mike Budenholzer isn't with the Hawks. The Celtics, Guerschon Yabusele. He was a first-round pick a few years ago, hasn't really seen much playing time. Maybe they use him as a trade asset down the road or something. The Brooklyn Nets, Jahlil Okafor and D'Angelo Russell. Okafor is somebody that the Nets acquired in a trade that sent Trevor Booker to Philly. The Nets got back a second-round pick, Jahlil Okafor and Nick Stauskas. And Okafor really hasn't panned out to the guy that many thought he'd be when he was drafted. D'Angelo Russell is somebody that was off to a fantastic start with the Nets and got hurt and came back later in the year. And he played pretty well at the end of the year, but he needs to play a full season and be more consistent, and we'll see. I think Russell's more likely to be a part of the Nets' plans over the next couple years rather than Okafor. The Charlotte Hornets, Malik Monk. Monk was a lottery pick last year. Didn't really pan out. He fell out of the Hornets' rotation. And with a new coach in town, maybe Monk will see more playing time. Bulls, Cam Payne. Payne's somebody that they acquired in the deal that sent Taj Gibson to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Payne was shown a ton of promise with Oklahoma City as Russell Westbrook's backup. And Payne saw a lot of playing time as the Bulls were trying to tank down the stretch. And he's stuck on that depth chart behind the likes of Zach LaVine and Chris Dunn. So we'll see what they do with Payne. The Cavaliers, 2 players that are vital to them actually right now and haven't really been good for them in the playoffs. I'm talking about C.D. Osman and Rodney Hood. Osman's had some moments as a Cavalier. Rodney Hood's just been a complete bust from when they traded for him. He pretty much has only had one good year in the NBA, and I think the media overrated him because he was playing on Quinn Snyder's team, and the Jazz got rid of him, and he really hasn't panned out with the Cavs. And if they don't make the finals, people are going to point to that trade that got them Rodney Hood, and they traded away Jay Crowder for, and say, ooh, that was a mistake. That might be the case if they don't win the title, and let alone not win the Boston series. The Mavericks, Nerlens Noel. Noel's somebody that the Mavs traded for a few years ago. He hasn't really panned out. He had some flashes with Philly, and then a lot of injury issues happened, and Joel Embiid came back and was phenomenal, and the rest is history, and they traded Noel to Dallas, and he really didn't pan out in Dallas either, so he has a bleak future. The Denver Nuggets, Malik Beasley. Beasley, somebody who they picked in the draft in 2016. he really hasn't seen much in their rotation. The Nuggets are a deep team. I thought that Beasley should have gotten more playing time. Maybe Beasley is not as good as people think. So we'll see what they do with Beasley. And plus, they need to re-sign Nikola Jokic this summer, as he could be a restricted free agent. The Detroit Pistons, I have two guys on here. Henry Ellenson, who was a 2016 draft pick that hasn't seen much playing time. And with Stan Van Gundy out of town, maybe the new coach, whoever comes in, will experience with Ellenson, or he's somebody that the Pistons will move on from, because this was a Van Gundy draft pick. And another Van Gundy draft pick that hasn't worked out has been Stanley Johnson, who was in the 2015 draft, and the Pistons passed on a bunch of different players the last two drafts, and Stanley Johnson's one of those players that hasn't really panned out, although he's shown flashes in the second half of the year after they traded a lot of their depth away for Blake Griffin. The Golden State Warriors, Jordan Bell. Bell's somebody that's lost playing time over the last couple months after playing really well with the Warriors. He should be getting more minutes in these playoffs. I don't understand why he hasn't gotten more minutes to give Draymond Green some rest during these playoffs. But, hey, the Warriors are up 1-0 in the series already. They've been on a roll since the playoffs began, so I can't really question Steve Kerr at this point. The Houston Rockets are another team that I had to pick somebody sort of random. And I went with R.J. Hunter, somebody who hasn't really panned out yet. Somebody that I think has a lot of potential and has failed to live up to potential. And he's somebody that's just sitting on the bench for Mike D'Antoni and hasn't really seen much playing time. The Indiana Pacers, Ike Aniboglu. He's someone that hasn't seen playing time on the Pacers, as well as TJ Leaf. And that's mainly due to the surplus of big men the Pacers have. I'm interested to see if they use Anigbogu or Leaf as assets to try to make a trade this summer, or what, because I think both of these guys have some potential, despite the fact that the Pacers have a surplus of bigs. So, the fact that the Pacers have a surplus of bigs is the main reason why I picked Anigbogu and Leaf for the Pacers make or break. The Los Angeles Clippers, Sam Dekker. Decker's somebody that's had some moments for them off the bench. He is somebody that really hasn't had that much playing time. And if I'm the Clippers, I try to see what you have with Dekker, because I think he has a lot of potential. He can shoot the three ball. The Lakers, two big men, Ivica Lubak and Thomas Bryant. These two guys saw a little bit of playing time. And if the Lakers miss out on free agents, and Brook Lopez is a free agent too, and I don't see the Lakers bringing him back, maybe Bryant and Lubak get chances. But if the Lakers go out and say they signed DeMarcus Cousins, then Lubak and Bryant could be in trouble with this team long term, as the Lakers will try to clear cap room to try to sign big fish this summer, such as Paul George and LeBron James, or try to trade for Kawhi Leonard. The Memphis Grizzlies, Ben McLemore and Yvonne Rabb. McLemore was a high draft pick in 2013 with the Kings. Hasn't really panned out. And now he's on the Grizzlies roster and hasn't done much with them either. Yvonne Rabb, a second-round pick with the Grizzlies. Somebody that stock has been down the last couple years. He was projected to be a lottery pick a few years ago and then decided to go back to school. And that ended up being a bad decision for Rabb as his stock dropped. The Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo and Justice Winslow, two young players that have shown some promise with the Heat, but I think the Heat are thinking big picture and big things, kind of like the Lakers, and nobody's talking about the Miami Heat as a possible suitor for Paul George this summer, and I'm surprised about that because I think they're the sleeping giant of this summer, as Pat Riley's trying to win now, and I think there's a chance that Winslow and Abadeo are packaged in trades. And I'm going to go over players that I think could be traded this summer on a separate podcast within the next couple weeks once the finals are over and whatnot. Because I think there's going to be a lot of big names traded this summer, but most of this list are young players that I think are in a little bit of a make-or-break situation with their respective teams, not necessarily trade people. The Milwaukee Bucks, Thon Maker. Maker probably should be starting on the Bucks, but he hasn't developed that well yet. He's a raw prospect. I thought that the Bucks reached for him at the time they drafted him a couple years ago. I still think Maker has potential, but he couldn't even beat out John Henson to be the starting center of the Bucks. So we'll see what they do with Maker. The Timberwolves, Andrew Wiggins. Yes, Andrew Wiggins. He has not lived up to number 1 overall pick status like many people thought he would once Jimmy Butler joined the Timberwolves. Everybody thought that the Butler acquisition will help Wiggins, but maybe it will in the long run. But Wiggins did not have a good year this past year, and he's looking more like an average NBA player rather than a multi-time All-Star like his draft classmate Joel Embiid. And Jabari Parker's probably should be on make or break too, but he's a restricted free agent this summer, and I don't think the Bucks are going to keep him. The New Orleans Pelicans, Cheek Diallo. Diallo's somebody that's coming off the bench for them and hasn't really done much for them in the playoffs. We'll see if he's a part of their long-term future or not. The New York Knicks, Frank Ntilikina. He was their lottery pick from last year. Had some moments, but if the Knicks decide to take a point guard in the draft, then I think Ntilikina's in trouble. And don't forget, this new front office to not pick Ntilikina. Phil Jackson picked Ntilikina, and Phil Jackson specifically picked Ntilikina because of his triangle offense. And the Ntilikina pick, let's face it, got Phil Jackson fired. The combination of that and him wanting to trade away Kristaps Porzingis got Phil fired, and the rest is history. And I think the Knicks are in a better spot long term than people are giving them credit for. And a lot of that reason is because Phil Jackson is no longer in their front office. But James Dolan's still running the team, and that is another story for another day. The Oklahoma City Thunder, Terrence Ferguson. Ferguson was a first-round pick a few years ago. He's had some moments on the Thunder. I don't know if he's going to be around for them during the long haul or not. Orlando Magic, I have 2 guys on here. Mario Hezonja, a high lottery pick in 2015, who showed flashes at the end of this year, but a lot of people thought he was going to be a star, but he's nowhere near a star. And Jonathan Isaacs, and that's only because he missed most of his rookie season due to injury. A lot of people are high on Isaacs. We'll see how he pans out. The 76ers, Markelle Fultz. Oh my God, this is so easy. There's a reason why Brett Brown didn't play him important playoff minutes. I just feel that the 76ers don't think he's the player that they thought they were getting when they picked him first overall. I think there's a strong possibility that Fultz is packaged in a trade this summer as the Sixers try to improve their team to become a contender in the Eastern Conference. The Phoenix Suns, Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris, 2 lottery picks in the 2016 draft that really haven't panned out. Let's say the Suns win the lottery tonight and say they take DeAndre Ayton or Marvin Bagley. I think Bender and Chris are in trouble. And we'll see what happens with the Suns, because there's a really good chance that they end up with the top 3 pick. And Chris and Bender really haven't panned out like the Suns thought. So don't be shocked if either of those guys are packaged in a trade or let go this summer. The Portland Trailblazers, Zach Collins and Caleb Swanigan, 2 big men picked in last year's draft. Swanigan really didn't see much playing time. He was the player of the year in college in 2016-17 and hasn't seen much playing time with the Blazers. Zach Collins saw a little bit of playing time and he got better as the season got on. But I don't know if Swanigan and Collins are part of their long-term future or not. The Sacramento Kings, Justin Jackson and Harry Giles, two young players that they picked in the draft. Jackson has a chance to be good in this league, but he really did not have that much of an impact as a rookie. Harry Giles is more of like an injury thing more than anything. And I still think Giles has some potential. I don't know if these guys are around long-term for the Kings, especially Giles, and Giles only because that they have a surplus of big men with Willie Cauley-Stein and Scala BCA. And in Jackson's case, they're thin on the wing, but what if Sacramento wants to take Michael Porter Jr. in the draft, or Miles Bridges, or Mikal Bridges? And that, I think, puts Jackson in trouble. The San Antonio Spurs, Derek White, he was a first-round pick a few years ago. Seen a little bit of playing time. It hasn't panned out as well as the Spurs hope, but the Spurs usually, their guys take a little bit while to develop, and they turn into great players for Greg Popovich. Even Kawhi Leonard didn't pan out all that well until his third season, which was the year that the Spurs were up 3-2 on the LeBron James Miami Heat team that won its second straight title. So White is somebody that I don't know if he's a part of the Spurs' long-term future or not. And we'll get into the Spurs another podcast and Kawhi Leonard's future and whatnot. Toronto Raptors, Jakob Poeltl. I'm interested to see what they do with Poeltl. Jonas Valanciunas is still around. I think the Raptors are going to make some changes this summer. They fired Dwayne Casey. I think Valanciunas has a chance to be traded. His name's been in trade rumors forever, it seems like. And Poeltl was a lottery pick. And he's had some moments off the bench for them. And I think the Raptors think that he could be a starter someday. And if they don't think he fits into their long-term plans and they stick with Valanciunas, Poeltl's in trouble. Utah Jazz, Dante Exum. Exum's had some moments in the playoffs this past year. He's been injured a lot throughout his career. He's somebody that can't really shoot. He was a high lottery pick in 2014, but just really didn't pan out with the Jazz. I think there's a distinct possibility that Exum is no longer on the team come next season, and I believe he's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. The Washington Wizards, Kelly Oubre. I didn't really have a strong option for the Wizards. Oubre's been a nice player for them, but he's somebody that has to make a jump for them in order for the Wizards to become a top 3 team in the East. I think that's a team that's going to make some changes this summer as well. We'll get into the Wizards' future on another podcast. And I think there's a chance that Oubre could be trade bait. That's the reason why I put Oubre here, more than the fact that he just needs to be better. All right, last but not least, I'm going to do my draft lottery predictions. I'm going to go 14-1. Number 14, the Denver Nuggets, who have the 14th best odds to win the draft lottery. Number 13, the Los Angeles Clippers, who have the 13th best odds to win the draft lottery. Number 12, the Los Angeles Clippers, courtesy of the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons traded away their first-round pick in the Blake Griffin trade. The Pistons can still get this pick if the Pistons land in the top 4, which is highly unlikely. So there's a great chance the Clippers have 2 lottery picks. Number 11, the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 11th best odds to win the lottery. Number 10, the Philadelphia 76ers from the Los Angeles Lakers via the Boston Celtics. The Celtics can get this pick if it's in between 2 and 5. But in all likelihood, this will go to the 76ers. Number 9, the New York Knicks who have the 9th best odds to get the number 1 pick. Number 8, the Cleveland Cavaliers, courtesy of the Brooklyn Nets via the Boston Celtics. This pick is the Nets pick that was shipped to the Celtics in the big trade in 2013 that netted Brooklyn, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett, which will likely go down as the worst trade of this decade. And you could argue James Harden trade and the Andrea Bargnani Knicks trade as the worst as well. But this one could very well go down as the worst because 2 of those draft picks turned into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are thriving with the Celtics right now. And the Celtics packaged this pick to Cleveland in the Kyrie Irving deal. So how this pick falls in the lottery tonight could very well factor into LeBron James's future. And this pick is unprotected, and the Cavs have the 8th best odds to win the lottery. Number 7, the Sacramento Kings, who have the 7th best odds to win the draft lottery. Number 6, the Chicago Bulls, who have the 6th best odds to win the draft lottery. And for what it's worth, the draft lottery is being held in Chicago this year, not New York. And that could either bode well for the Bulls or bad for the Bulls, because the draft lottery's been in New York the past couple years, and that did not bode well for the Knicks. Although the Patrick Ewing lottery in 1985, I believe, took place in New York. But that was a long time ago when the Knicks actually weren't dysfunctional. And now the Knicks are dysfunctional. And I won't be shocked if a team between 10 and 14 moves up to 3. Number 5, the Orlando Magic, who have the 5th best odds of winning the draft lottery. Number 4, the Phoenix Suns, who finished with the worst record in the NBA. They have the best odds to win the draft lottery, but the Suns are a dysfunctional franchise that seems to have bad luck all the time. So I'm dropping them to 4 in my predictions, and that's how I think it's going to happen, because that would be typical of the Suns to drop to 4. Number 3, the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Hawks are the team that moves up into the top 3, although they have the 4th best odds of winning the lottery. Number 2, the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the 2nd best odds of winning the lottery. And number 1, the Dallas Mavericks, who have the 3rd best odds of winning the lottery. I just think that franchise is due for something good. Dirk Nowitzki is in the twilight years of his career. Mark Cuban is a polarizing owner, and that might not bode well for the Mavericks. But I just think that it would be typical of Mark Cuban to win the lottery. And quickly, I want to go over percent chances of a top 3 pick for every team. The Phoenix Suns have a 64.2% chance of a top 3 pick and 25% chance of the number 1 pick. The Memphis Grizzlies have a 55.8% chance of a top 3 pick and a 19.9% chance of the number 1 pick. The Dallas Mavericks, who are my pick to win the lottery, 42.6% chance of a top 3 pick and a 13.8% chance of the number 1 pick. The Atlanta Hawks, a 42.6% chance of the top 3 pick and a 13.7% chance of the number 1 pick. Orlando Magic, a 29.1% chance of a top 3 pick and an 8.8% chance of a number 1 pick. The Chicago Bulls, an 18.3% chance of a top 3 pick and the 5.3% chance of the number 1 pick. The Sacramento Kings, an 18.3% chance of a top 3 pick and a 5.3% chance of the number 1 pick. The Cleveland Cavaliers, a 9.9% chance of a top 3 pick and a 2.8% chance of the number 1 pick. The New York Knicks, a 6.1% chance of a top 3 pick and the 1.7% chance of the number 1 pick. The Philadelphia 76ers, a 4% chance of being a top 3 pick and the 1.1% chance of it being the number 1 overall pick. And don't forget, if this is the 2nd or the 3rd pick, it will convert to Boston. The Charlotte Hornets, a 2.9% chance of a top 3 pick and a 0.8% chance of the number 1 pick. The Detroit Pistons, a 2.5% chance of the balls bouncing their way for a top 3 pick and a 0.7% chance of the number 1 pick. The Clippers, a 2.2% chance of a top 3 pick and a 0.6% chance of the number 1 pick. The Denver Nuggets, 1.8% chance of a top 3 pick and a 0.5% chance of the number 1 pick. Breaking news on the podcast. Robinson Cano suspended 80 games by Major League Baseball for PEDs. Wow. What a blow for the Mariners. He already broke his wrist, and on top of that, he gets 80 games for PEDs, and those 80 games will be served once he comes back from injury. Wow, wow, wow. This would be a monstrous blow to the Mariners. Let's face it, he's been sort of a bust with the Mariners, and no playoff appearances since Cano's gotten there, and there's the what if of if he went back to the Yankees, that maybe Jacoby Ellsbury doesn't go there, and maybe he's traded at the 2016 sell-off that the Yankees have had. Maybe they don't even have that sell-off. Maybe they would have been a contender in 2014 and 15 and 16 instead of being in mediocrity those years. But the Yankees are in a great place right now, in a better spot than the Mariners. We'll get more into this on tomorrow's podcast, and I just went over some of the ramifications of it. Maybe Taylor Motter gets recalled from the minors. Maybe D. Gordon moves back to second base. I'm very interested to see what Seattle does here. Oh, that's it for today's podcast. I'll be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 between the Cavs and the Celtics, the draft lottery, Game 3 between the Lightning and the Capitals. Look ahead to Game 3 between the Golden Knights and the Jets. Go over all the baseball action, get more into this Cano drama and whatnot. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.